I am Yolanda Williams, and I am employed as a lieutenant currently with the San Francisco Police Department. With me going into law enforcement, it took me 15 years to finally tell them who I really was and that I was a survivor from a cult. And then when they found out, they couldn't believe it.
Right, right.
And so it's that ideology that creates some of the problems with how law enforcement is able to best come in and be equipped to deal with a cult or something that's cult-like.
Why did it take you so long to tell them that you're a survivor?
It was fear. Fear of the fact that when people speak of those who have been involved in cults, they think that there's something wrong with you. They automatically assume that it's your fault. It's like the battered wife's syndrome. It's always the victim's fault. They feel like if you were a fool enough to go into a cult and you got stuck there, that's your fault. That's your problem. And it's that undertone that makes someone who comes from out of a cult be fearful to go public and say, look, I've been there. I know what it's like. I've got firsthand experience about it.
Most people who go into law enforcement don't have this experience. Not only do they not have the personal experience, but it seems, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, they don't want to know about it. Because when I have tried to, and Mike has tried to go in, something happens, Yolanda, like where they just stop listening to us. Why can't we penetrate to teach?
Unfortunately, the cult situation is something that I don't think that there's any real law enforcement training to really know how to deal with those types of situations or those type of religious organizations that move in the direction of cult-like treatment and handling of their members. Law enforcement responding to these type of compounds and religious organizations need to recognize people have been living on these premises for an extended period of time. They're potentially brainwashed. Police officers have never been exposed to that. They can't even fathom the idea that someone would allow someone to have that type of control and to that extent.
If someone does come forward and says, look, I was assaulted, I was sexually molested, I was whatever. As soon as law enforcement informs Scientology that there is a complainant, there are 50 people who write affidavits signed under penalty of perjury saying this never happened,
Absolutely.
It's impossible, it couldn't ever have happened.
And then law enforcement goes, okay, case closed.
And you go, but wait a minute, do you know that those people are lying? Well, they're signed under penalty of perjury. It means nothing.
Because Scientology has a term called the greatest good.
Yes,
and the greatest good is to lie
for the cause.
For the cause.
Yes.
How do the government agencies and the police departments not know that this is what's going on?
Again, my suggestion after talking about this at the length we have is the police officers' standards and training to communicate with them directly and urge them to start putting together some type of training on cults. How do you deal with them? What are the underlying red flags of a cult, or that someone that might be going through something where they're being forced to do something that they under normal circumstances would not do.
Right.
And I think it's incumbent upon us to come up with those warning signs, put the pen to paper on what they are.
Agreed.
Totally agreed. Educating law enforcement and government agencies and having people within them that actually understand what they are dealing with.